Yeah, so don't forget I'm recording to the cloud now, so it's not to my computer. So in case I run out of juice on my computer, right?
Okay.
Um, I've run out of hard drive space, and we're in record. Okay, so we'll just wait a few minutes until they filter in. All right.
Sounds good.
Thanks. How's everybody doing? Good. Yeah. Quiet. So quiet. Loud and screaming, huh? Nobody's loud and screaming, right? As the semester progresses, it's similar, I think, in every school that the stress changes at the end of the semester or towards the end of the semester. And either it's like final projects are coming up or final exams or just the idea of graduating out, or maybe the spring is sprung and the allergy season is here. And you notice the strange calm falls on the student body. Like I think it's the weight of the now we have, 5 more weeks or something, or like we're almost done, and when the realities of it. So happy to be here with you and happy to see that we're able to have mitigated at least a little bit of the wonderful world of COVID, and our masks are off, which is a little bit, it's your choice, as I said. So if you choose to do that, that's a cool thing. And I'm happy to be here with you and to provide opportunities, learning opportunities, and stay healthy at the same time, right? That's a cool thing. So we're going to wait about a minute or so to get started. So I'll let everybody else that might be still in the hallways, flying in. Clock up there is about a half a minute fast, so I don't want to push anything. But we are at 3 o'clock. Yeah, we're at 3 o'clock right now. So I think it's appropriate we just get started with it. Okay. So we use our time effectively and efficiently, and have the best use of our time. So once again, I want to thank everybody for coming. We have a guest here today that's looking at can see you. We haven't had a chance to introduce him yet. We will in a few moments, but I want to take an opportunity to read you Mark's bio. Just so we're clear, I want to talk about my relationship with him before I read his bio. Mark and I met each other through an organization in the Philadelphia region called the Tesla Science Foundation. And in loose terms, the Tesla Science Foundation is an organization of just curious citizens who would love to figure out what it means to understand how to have a better world. And in many cases, Tesla as a person, as a man, was a scientist who had ideas of free energy and the opportunities to invent methods of generating electricity that weren't pollutants and things of that nature. We all migrated down different paths in the Tesla Science Foundation. I was kind of a media guy, helping them record stuff and learning about him. And Mark had migrated on many paths that led him down to educating the world. And he's an amazing guy. I became friends with him. I'm friendly with him. I consider him a friend, and he's blessed us today with coming in. So I'll just read the bio. Mark Passio is an anarchist, independent researcher, public speaker, internet talk show host, documentary filmmaker, technology seminar instructor, conference organizer, lead vocalist, and freedom activist from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Mark has undertaken the task of assembling vast amounts of research in the area of metaphysics, occultism, spirituality, symbology, and conscious and conscientious studies, right? In 2007, Mark began presenting his information in the form of a presentation entitled "What on Earth is Happening?" with the intention of bringing the implications of his body of knowledge to the greater public awareness. Mark launched his own website in 2008 at the whatonearthishappening.com, which we're on right now. In 2010, Mark began hosting his own internet radio talk show, The Oyster Poll, What on Earth is Happening, which is over now 230 episodes to date, and probably more since this website was updated last, right? Mark is one of the co-founders of the Free Your Mind Conference, which is a Philadelphia-based conference of consciousness, mind control, and the occult. Mark has taught intensive live streams, including natural law, streetwise spirituality, the New Age BS, and demystifying the occult. Mark is a creator and instructor of How to Become the True Media, an online technology seminar founded by Mark in 2020, which teaches best practices for communicating and publishing in the digital age to aspiring content creators. Mark is the creator and curator of One Great Work Network, a private or privately organized collective of conscious individuals who create dynamic content for the purpose of spreading the message of natural law, truth, and freedom to a wide world audience. In 2021, Mark released his first full-length documentary entitled Mark Passio and the Science of Natural Law, which focuses on the core of his teachings regarding morality and freedom. Mark was also the founding member and lead vocalist of a band in Philadelphia called, there's a hardcore punk band called The Founders, which I had the pleasure of seeing some of those videos. And boy, were they intense. So with that said, as we try here at York College of Pennsylvania, we try to call in favors and ask people to do right by us because we've done right by them. And Mark is, as I said, a friend of mine, and I intimately trust him to tell his story and talk about what it means to be someone who uses new media every day to communicate with the world. And I'm really happy to present you to Mr. Mark Passio. So Mark will tell you about what his path has been and how he uses new media to talk to the world. So Mark, the floor is yours, and the students are here and they're eager for you. So thanks.
Craig, thank you so much, my friend. That was a great introduction. I really appreciate that. And I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak in front of your class of students. So my background is that I came to the information that I've come to because in my past, I was a member of what people might call secret societies or fraternal orders. And my background in those societies led me to understand what I now consider to be the covert power structure of the world in which we live. I'm not going to go into very deep detail on that because this is a presentation basically about new media and how I got started in it. But when my conscience compelled me through understanding what some of those organizations and people were doing, in our world and how that was limiting human freedom and human potential, I split ways with them and decided that I was going to become a whistleblower. And I was going to explain to people how the power structures of the world really work, as opposed to how people believe erroneously that they work. And the best way that I considered to do that was to put this information online. I realized that word of mouth, or even writing, a physical book or something like that, was not going to get the information that I needed to communicate, which is a pretty vast body of knowledge and information. It wasn't going to get it out to people in a vast enough way and in an immediate enough way. When people write in traditional forms of media like books, newspaper articles, etc., one, you're going to be limiting your audience to the people who happen to know about that publication, perhaps buy it, read it on a daily basis. And two, you're going to limit the time frame that information is going to propagate by, because it's an older form of media that doesn't have the potential to immediately reach a vast body of people. So in thinking about how I was going to put this information out to the world, one of the first factors that I considered is what is going to be the best way of doing that in the modern age. And to me, obviously, that was the internet, because that's where you're going to reach the most people in the quickest way. And you sort of immortalize your information by putting it online. And I should state as a caveat to that, that it used to be the case that you could immortalize your information by putting it online. Unfortunately, today we live in an age of censorship, whether people recognize or understand that currently or not. There are platforms that are completely deplatforming people who want to speak out and blow the whistle on certain nefarious aspects that are taking place in our world, because many people in positions of power and influence stand to profit too much from the continuation of those forms of manipulation. And unfortunately, very highly unfortunately, big tech platforms have become complicit partners in the censorship of the freedom of information. And so that presents a new challenge, even that since a lot of people's content is being actively censored and taken down from certain platforms, now we need to find new ways of preserving it, making it censorship proof, and immortalizing it, meaning that once it is online, no one is really capable of removing it. This is part of what is known in the new media world as Web 3.0, which many people may have heard of, which is distributing the internet and making it truly censorship proof. So that is also part of what I'm doing now. Now, to go back into my background in early days, when I first wanted to come out and speak publicly on this, the way that I felt was the best way of doing it was through live in-person presentations. So I want to take people sort of through the progression of how I organized my media, what types of media I did and put out, how I did them, the software that I used, etc. So Craig, if it's okay if I share my screen, I'll start to show people some of the actual technologies that I use and some of the actual apps and programs that I use in my workflow. Is that okay?
Yes, certainly. I think I have to make you a co-host. Hold on one second, okay?
Okay.
Give me a second to get that organized. Give me about 20 seconds, okay? I'm right here. I just have to figure out my mouse isn't doing right by me sometimes either, right? So hold on one second. Okay, and you are now officially a co-host, so you should have all the controls that you want there, Mark.
Excellent. All right. So I want to share the entire screen. It doesn't look like it's giving me the option for that. So I'll just share my browser window then for the time being, but actually I want to share another app and doesn't seem to be letting me do that.
So when you say share screen, what are you seeing? You're seeing a couple blocks, but you're not seeing the window that you want?
Yeah, let's see, hold on.
Well, if that doesn't work out, I could probably make you host or something. I could figure that out too.
Let's see. If I hit share screen, it doesn't give me the option to share my full screen. It only gives me the option to share apps, but that's okay. I'll go forward and share just an app at a time then, and I'll switch. I'll make it work.
Okay, whatever, that's fine. Whatever you feel like you, okay.
So, this is a modern presentation that I gave. This is called Fear of Sacrifice in the Freedom Movement. And what I basically did in the early days of sharing my information online is I would make presentations in person and then, of course, record them with, some decent camera equipment, HD if it was possible, if it was available back then. And then I would, capture that footage, edit it, put it out as a presentation online. This is one of my more recent presentations. It's the most recent in-person presentation that I've given, and I make all my presentations with the Keynote software. So, I could even step out of this, play it in full screen, and step through a little bit. I try to make it as aesthetically pleasing as possible with transitions and effects. I give caveats at the beginning of the presentation and explain to people what I'm going to be talking about, and take them through a progression of information, a sort of revealing of my findings. That is what is actually taking place, and this is all done through Keynote. So early on, this was my biggest basic way of presenting my findings, reaching the world. I did it all through this app, and then I would literally deliver it in person at a venue that we would rent, or another organizer would rent and host my presentations. And we would record it and then again edit it. There would be a lot of post-production work to take it into a video editor such as Final Cut Pro or Premiere Pro, Adobe Premiere Pro. And then we would edit it and get it to the format that we wanted it finally. And then I would put that on my website. So I'll show you my website. I'll stop share. And so this is one of the first things that allowed me, this app. It's like it's the Mac version of PowerPoint. Okay, I consider it still a very integral part of my workflow because I now do a online live weekly program that is a live streaming broadcast. And I still use Keynote slides as a central focal point of the information that I present on my live weekly show. So, I don't know if people are very familiar with presentation software, but this was one of my main ways of sort of formalizing my information and then eventually putting it out publicly through video to the world. So I started a website after my first major presentation, which, as Craig said in my bio, was called What on Earth is Happening. It was about an 8-hour presentation that I delivered in 4 basic parts. I still actually distribute it today via flash drive and DVD. It's a 4 DVD set. And then I, of course, put all of my videos digitally on flash drives to also distribute that way. I try to reach the biggest possible audience by putting things out in a variety of formats. So, there'll be flash drive, DVD, online videos via video sharing services, etc. I'm going to stop sharing and share my browser for a moment, and I'll show you my website.
Mark, may I ask you a question as we go?
Sure, absolutely.
So the students that are here in the program, because this is a mass communications style kind of mass media program, the students may know what it means to shoot in high definition at this point. I don't think any of them even really acknowledge standard definition anymore.
Sure.
Many of them are, of course, editing in HD more than any other format. They haven't really embraced 4K yet, but they certainly kind of skipped standard definition, walked right into high definition, and they also skipped Blu-ray. They don't even know what Blu-ray is. Like in regards to obligations here at school to this disc that they would give away, that's meant as a disc that would be a high definition disc. Did you end up engaging in making Blu-ray discs, or did you go right to flash drives with HD exports?
I went right to flash drives from DVD, and I still offer DVDs for people who want physical discs. So all of my HD content is available on flash drive. I do have Blu-ray burners here in office, but I do not offer Blu-ray discs with my content because it seems to be a less popular format that people want. Believe it or not, I see requests for DVD a lot because people are concerned about censorship, and they want a hard copy of something. It's sort of a little bit of a resurgence in that old school DVD NTSC format. So I do keep providing DVDs to people, but I tell people if they want the best definition format that all of my work is recorded in, then flash drive is the way to go.
That's interesting because, so just for the students who might not be totally aware, DVD is standard definition. So when you make a DVD, it's standard definition. When you make a Blu-ray, it's high definition. So you can make an export out of a software package like Premiere in standard definition and make an export out of that same software package in high definition. And the Blu-ray disc was a platform to deliver your high definition final video as a optical disc. It was a 25 gig disc, but just the general public didn't accept it. It was one of those things where it was out for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years, and many of us just never bought it. And so we have dozens of DVD players in our house. Maybe only a third of you have one Blu-ray player, and you never really bought Blu-ray. So the streaming services were born out of the fact that we didn't buy Blu-ray. And you're talking to a vendor here that is still supplying standard definition final DVDs because people want copies, but they don't necessarily want that copy in Blu-ray because they don't have the tech. They'll take the cartridge, they'll take the flash drive with the movie file on it, right? But they don't have a player that's an optical.
I'd say that's still the most popular is the flash drive. But again, people who want a little bit of a retro hard copy will still opt for DVD. The only thing I really use Blu-ray discs for here is sometimes I will back things up onto that form of optical media. But I've even really sort of abandoned that and just started buying 2 terabyte flash solid state drives. I'm sorry, to do large content backups and I even use solid state drives like 2 terabyte or 4 terabyte or 8 terabyte solid state drives to do offline backups of my work that I basically create and store here, and then I'll even back them up to solid state drives like that. So Blu-ray is something that you're right, it sort of just passed people by. It came out at a time where everything was going HD, but people were just hard drives were getting less expensive at higher capacities. And so people just went right to digital storage, and it sort of started abandoning optical media.
And Mark, you might not know this. This might not be privy to you, but I'll tell you, as I sit in this room, I'm looking around at a bunch of students. I would say maybe out of the 7 or 8 or 9 desktop laptops we have in here, maybe only 1 or 2 of them have a DVD player or DVD burner in the laptop. They're not making laptops with DVD burners anymore at all.
Right.
So, and we're not teaching anything about DVD creation anymore. So the
none of my machines even have here in my home studio even have optical drives. I do have external optical drives. I keep one on my main iMac Pro here, and then my Mac Minis have external USB Blu-ray burners, slot loading ones.
Yep, understood. Thank you, sir.
You got it. So one of the things I also just want to tell people before I even start going through some of the technologies that I use is all of my work is free online. I only also make hard copies available for donations, but I consider this work humanity's birthright. And I just wanted to say that to the class that this information I don't present to make money. This isn't a business. I am not incorporated in any way. I don't have an LLC. What on Earth is Happening is just the name of my website, and that's all it is. No part of this operates as a business. Every single part of it actually operates through voluntary donations, including the One Great Work Network, which is a much bigger operation even than What on Earth is Happening is. So I just wanted to say that that all of my information is actually free on my website, and you can get it in the podcast section, the video section, the news section of the site. But I'll take you through a little bit of this. Now, one of the things early on that I was doing was sharing my content through, obviously, my website at my domain, whatonearthishappening.com. Now, once I got the website and the server space, the web hosting space from a web hosting provider, I was putting pages up in a very old school fashion through just making templates in Dreamweaver and then modifying them for the variations of the pages that I was making. So this is considered a static form of a website. Obviously, this website here today is not, but my former website was static HTML built with Adobe Dreamweaver, which it works. It's still an option. It's still very valid to do it that way. But it makes it difficult when you're dealing with vast amounts of content and things that you want to operate more like a blog and a running list of media. And it also makes it harder to really make a truly dynamic driven website with a modern internet-based database such as MySQL, which I use now. So what I use now, when content management systems were first sort of being introduced and used, a friend of mine told me about them and said, as far as I know, you're still using a static HTML based website. And I said, yes, I am. I said, do you recommend me move to something else? He said, absolutely. Content management systems are going to be what you want to look at. And he introduced me to a few of them. And I chose one that I felt was a good blending between ease of use and feature sets and power to be able to handle the content of the size that we're talking about, the scope that we're talking about that encompasses my site. So this is one of the most important parts of my work, is obviously webmastering and doing it with a content management system. So if you're not familiar with CMSs or content management systems, that's one of the really most important things to look into in modern web development. My content management system that I use is called Joomla, Joomla. Its website is joomla.org, and it is free and open source software. So it is FOSS software, free and open source. And it's built on the modern standard web stack. Obviously, new technologies are always emerging, and we have things like Node.js now and even more powerful CMSs. But this is built on the traditional internet standard stack of tools, including HTML5, PHP, MySQL, and the Apache web server, which it is run on. So this is my website. The CMS, gives you a main menu here where the sections and pages are at, obviously. And, I have some, advertising at the top for my network of about 60 content creators, going on 60 content creators that I curate and host. And another organization that I partner with called Autonomy, which teaches technical skill sets and in general life skills. And I'm running a t-shirt special right now on my gifts area, which helps fund my operation. Here you see my live streaming replays. So this is a replay of a former broadcast that I did. My live show is Sunday, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern time, but we host replays through the Twitch network. Twitch streaming is what I basically broadcast through for my website and for One Great Work Network. So that's what I use as a streaming platform. And then I'll post other appropriate news, like this video was just released for free yesterday. And I have offers of the type of information that led me to understand what I understand through videos and books. And I offer an archive of data for free to people. And there's just an introduction to the site. There's some other, people who I consider friends and partners. I have a myriad of social media, which I also promote my work through. I think this is obviously an important part of new media, especially when it comes to networking and advertising, getting the word out about what you are doing. And that's generally all I really use social media for. But, you could see here I have a slew of social media, platforms that I broadcast and or just post about my content on. Traditional ones like Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and then some of the newer ones such as Minds, Float, BitChute, Odyssey, Rumble, Telegram, Gab, Parler, MeWe, etc. I'm basically on all of them. And so I would want to mention that is definitely one of the things that in looking at new media, you're going to want to network through there. You're going to want to promote through there so that people know about what you are doing, obviously. There's other sections to my site, such as my live show, which is basically just the broadcast, and you'll see the replay playing there as well. And I run a Discord call-in room. Discord is another big part of my workflow. If you're not familiar with it, it's basically like what you might consider Skype or Telegram on steroids, where it really has a lot of granular permission options and ability to set up a full server with multiple chat rooms inside with granular permissions. It's a big part of my workflow. I'll just briefly stop sharing here and share my Discord window as well. Let's do that. And I could show you that, and it's not letting me share Discord. I'm really don't understand why it is not allowing me to share any window or the whole screen, but unfortunately Zoom is being flaky, so I'm not going to be able to show you that. Let's go back to the browser.
Mark, what
yes.
I'm going to do is I'm going to make you the host.
Okay.
Right? At the end, you have to make me the host again. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, because or else I won't be able to use this one ever again.
All right, I'll stop sharing and let's see if that resolves it.
Okay, so I've made you the, hold on. I've made you the host. Why don't you try it now?
No, I'm just getting whiteboard and the apps that are open and not even all of the apps, which is very unusual. I've not seen that happen in Zoom. So, yep, not going through. So
your Discord minimized, a student said, no?
that's a possibility. Let's check that out. I'll pull everything out of my dock and
Yeah,
let's see.
I think it has to be up in a window on your desktop. It has to be.
Okay, let's try that.
Right? Am I right?
All right, I'm going to give that a shot. Ah, correct. So it is letting me share all the apps, but not the whole screen. So that's acceptable because I could just switch apps. That's fine. So this is my Discord server. I'm not sure if anyone is familiar with Discord, but basically it's basically a 4-column layout in the app where you have your servers that you could connect to. Of course, I have One Great Work Network, What on Earth is Happening, How to Become the True Media. I set up all these rooms in the network. One Great Work Network is the main place where I use this. If I switch over to What on Earth is Happening, you'll see it's just a call-in room and a test room where we will test things before the day, on the day of the show. But then people can connect here in the call-in room, and that's where I take calls live on the air. One Great Work Network is the main place that I use Discord. So basically what goes on here is we have this whole collection of individuals here that are either content creators, you can see them down here on the right-hand side, or they are technical liaisons and producers for the network. We have a video workflow. This is also a CMS online. So we have a website where the content creators information is shared, and that's One Great Work Network. So this is a different stream running, okay? With, again, as I said, we have about 60 content creators, a little bit less than 60. Randomized articles pop up in this section. So every time I refresh, we get random articles through the CMS. There's about 10,000 articles already within the first year that content creators have made for the network. And these are all the actual content creators on the network. So these are all people that put forward new media, such as myself, and who I consider to do the same type of whistleblowing, the same type of content creation that I do in their different spheres of influence. So I've curated this and invited these people. This is a private network, and they are all by invite. Their content is on the network. So you can click into any one of them. For example, if you clicked on James Corbett here, you would get his blog. So these are the articles that he has posted to this, content creation network called One Great Work Network. And then if you click into one of his articles, then he has a video here from the Odyssey platform, and then a brief description of it and links. Basically, it's a content management system that people can post anything they want. I'll just briefly log into the back end to show you how that works. Some of you may be somewhat familiar with WordPress. Again, this is like a more advanced content management system than something like WordPress. So I'm just going to log in as myself, and I'll show you how people can create articles on the site. There we go. So, they use this, it's a sort of a stripped down back end of Joomla. We hid things that the content creators themselves don't really need to use. Only full administrators, like super users on the back end, can see things like this. I can see the full interface, which I could show you briefly. But basically, this would be an example of an article, and it gives you a web-based article creation box here, where you can format text, you can add video embeds, you could add links to download things. For example, I have slides that you can download here. And then if we went to that page, I'll go to creators and go to my page. If you click into one of my articles here, this is my full blog here on the site. If you clicked into the most recent one that I do, again, here is my video on Odyssey that could be played. I'll mute it just to show you that, it's a full video where I build out slides and talk about, what I was explaining in this presentation. And, if people even want to follow along with the slides themselves, they can download the slides. Clicking that link will just allow the slides to download. So I also put media up in this way. So, it's not just video. If they want the full slides, these are my keynote slides, and there's all of them. And then they could open them up one at a time. They could browse them all together. Like if they wanted to do a quick view and just go through them. Oh, that's backwards, but yeah, there we go. And they could browse through them. So again, you see, I put things up in like multiple formats. I use everything. I used text, images, audio. My original podcast series was all audio and not done through video. So if you click into podcast, this is where the real, it's almost like a university course. This is where I take people through the information that I've aggregated in a stepwise progression. So it was audio only at the time. And what I did was I actually posted my slides as a slideshow on the blog in this article. So each one of these little boxes is an article for each podcast. You could play the podcast, and the podcast will play from Odyssey. This tab is muted, but if I unmuted it, you'd hear the music coming through. And this was done back in 2010. So it's a little bit older of a format with no video, but the information still stands on its own. You can see here's my old logo there, and people can go through each one of the slides that I present in, right on the website. So again, I try to use every form of media possible. I don't limit myself to one format. So it's images and slides, it's audio, it's video, it's web-based, it's putting things on content management systems and video sharing services. I try to reach the widest audience that way. I use RSS, which will let you subscribe in a news feed program. It's a lesser known aspect of the internet. It stands for real simple syndication. But if you look into it, it's a powerful news aggregation source and also is great for podcasting. A lot of podcasters use RSS to distribute their podcast feed, which is in XML or extensible markup language format. So I also use that. If you open up a news aggregator, such as, let's see, I'll use NetNewsWire here. This will show you all the broadcasts that I've done. And my most recent was episode number 247. And there you see it there. So, there's other, feeds that you can aggregate there, but here is mine here at the bottom, which I've added, and you see all of my podcasts there. So you could jump all the way back to, scroll all the way back to number 1 if you wished, and play the audio in there. Oh, I'm sorry, you're not seeing this because I have to stop sharing my browser and share my news aggregator. Hold on. And there it is. Okay, so yes, this is the news aggregator that I use. It's called NetNewsWire. It's basically an RSS feeder program. You could set up all different news feeds here. This is mine here at the bottom, and there's my show number 1. All right, and then, you could see it has every podcast in there up through the most recent 247, which you could play right in the news aggregator. So that's RSS. It's something I wanted to mention. I think it's powerful. It's sort of important if you're going to do blogs and podcasting to set up RSS feeds. I think more people should learn about them. I think it's something that I find very useful. So I'll go back to my browser and continue. I don't know if you had a question there, Craig. Did I hear you asking something or no?
Yeah, I was going to bark out. Sometimes when you're doing the share, visually we might see it. If you were going to hit the play button and maybe play an audio clip or something,
You're
like
not
that,
hearing that.
yeah, there's an option sometimes is share with system audio. So sometimes
Share sound. I got it. I just checked it. So I'll make sure I check that when I share a new window.
yeah.
You got it. So I'll go back to the browser. Actually, let me go to the browser. Then I'm going to switch over to Discord to show you how I organize that server. So basically, the One Great Work Network is an area where we have many people. And we organize this through Joomla, right? So I'll open up the back end of that again. I'll just show you the administration section. So I'll log out of here and I'll go in as an admin. Now I'm going in as a super user. And you could see here now I see the full interface of Joomla, and I can control everything. So I could go to users, user management, and here's all the content creators and even people who work with the website on the back end as administrators. And I could set their passwords. I could create user groups for them. Basically, the magic happens back here on the back end because what I do here is then set up permissions so that basically they only see, each user only sees their own article. I do that with a ACL or Access Control List plugin for Joomla. And basically I can give granular permissions here on the back end. This is where content management systems become important for permissions. And just trying to log into the groups area. There we go. And you can see all of the people who comprise a group who are individual content creators have an ACL group. So I will switch to mine, and you'll see I can give them all, each one of these dots represents a permission that I can give someone on the back end of the server. Basically, we give them administration login and access to their own articles. So if I search for my name here, you'll see I have access to only my articles right here in my blog section, and I have all the permissions for my own area of the site. This way I can't touch anybody else's articles and nobody can touch mine. So it enables a large multi-user content creation website where I can have 1,000 publishers on the site if I want. So this is all run by them. It's up to them. They log in as a user, they can post content in their own section. So that's how the network works. We don't host the videos. We generally tell people that Odyssey is probably the best place to host. If you're not familiar with Library and Odyssey, I think that's another very, very powerful set of tools that basically allows sharing of content on the blockchain. So this is like an extension of the cryptocurrency world and community, but it allows content to actually be stored on chain. And that's what Library is. It also has its own token that you can stake your content using, and you can also accrue tips through their token. Let me show you the back end of Library, which hooks into Odyssey. Odyssey is the web portal. So I'll share that.
Hey, Mark, it's important to ask the larger question. I'm not even sure if there's proper grammar for this, but boy, do you know a lot of stuff.
My background is also in the tech world. I worked in professional media creation organizations. I worked in content that did a lot of online video and graphics, IMI network. I worked for a company called MediaCraft, which built customized websites for people and even did a community college's website at one point. I worked for Knight Ridder, which is a parent company of the Philadelphia Daily News and Philadelphia Inquirer newspapers, where I did ad creation and ran full page ads in the paper, that I designed. They ran, clients would run full page ads that our page layout team would design. And then after that, I worked for Philly.com and I did web-based graphics and advertisement. And then I became very deeply ensconced in the world of tech. In all of those former positions that I worked, I never had any good tech people. It was like usually up to me to fix a technical problem when it would happen with one of the computers. And I got really good at troubleshooting. So, I started basically then doing desktop troubleshooting at different companies. I worked for Gear 3 Technologies out of Princeton University, which was an internet service provider and troubleshooting company that serviced the whole New Jersey, the whole state of New Jersey, parts of southeastern Pennsylvania, and even up into New York. And after I left there, I worked as a technical troubleshooter for the School of Medicine Information Services at the University of Pennsylvania for a few years. After that is when I began my educational outreach work in earnest and started doing that full time. And so that ended my professional career in computing and technical services. But obviously, it helped my work in what I do now as in educational outreach. So very indispensable, that background, coming in, being able to make the kind of graphics and layouts that I do, understanding the technology as I do. Without that background, this would have been much harder to breach into this field. But having that background over the years, it made it sort of very naturally flowing.
And Mark, I mean, that explanation obviously dots all the I's and crosses all the T's. I had no idea, in all the years I've known you, that you had this kind of background. And boy, that's not only is that impressive, but it does explain the reasons why you've embraced these technological leaps and you've been able to overcome and be, have your thumb on the pulse of every one of these internal networks. It's pretty amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't talk too much about work and, professional background and stuff when I am friends with people. Honestly, I still have friends. I don't even know what they do. I only care about whether someone's a good person. You know what I mean? That's what I care about. So what they do, how much money they make to do that is not of really any bearing to me. But in any event, this is my library channel for What on Earth is Happening. And this is the back end of Odyssey. You could look at it like that. This is the actual protocol and the direct interface to the blockchain, which is the LBRY desktop app. This is what I largely use to now host my content in an uncensorable way. Once it's uploaded to the blockchain, nobody can censor or take it down. I'm the only person that could wipe the claim from the blockchain. So this gives you complete control over your own content and how you want to distribute it. Okay. And again, I could also stake content for tokens, and you could accrue tokens with tips. So I've accrued a considerable amount of library crypto tokens this way. This is not even a small amount of what I have. I actually transfer them off of this wallet into a private non-custodial wallet, which, I'm pretty big in the crypto world. I wouldn't say I'm a big influence in the crypto world, but I'm into it in a pretty large way. I actually helped host the first Bitcoin conference in the world, which actually took place here in Philadelphia at Underground Arts, which is a music venue. We rented out the whole building for the conference. I was part of an activist group back in 2009 called Truth, Freedom, Prosperity here in Philadelphia. And I helped to organize that first ever Bitcoin conference. And, I wish I would have gotten even more involved, because it would have been a nice, prosperous thing. I kind of stayed involved ancillarily, and still was involved in cryptocurrencies since about the year 2009. So I've done fairly okay in that endeavor, but could have done even better. But going back to, yes,
Mark, I have a question for you.
Sure.
And I'm thankful. We have about a half hour left, so I wanted just to give you a lens on time.
Yes.
I'm so thankful for your time and your energy. So, Mark, you've said something that's resonated. I've heard it a couple times in today's conversation. I just wanted to verbalize it in a little bit of a different way. You talk about private content. You talk about the idea of materials maybe that would be looked at by some other organization as being inappropriate, and that maybe they want to take it down or they want to censor you.
Mhm.
So what I'm gathering, because I know you, I know our conversations, and I'm just,
Yes.
I'm formulating this to reintroduce you to the class, right? So in a lot of ways, what you're saying is the content that you may create, the content that the students may create, whatever that content could be, if it is in any way, fashion, or form controversial at any level, no matter what the content is, whether
Mhm.
it's about life in general, somebody on the internet could have control of your content, rip it down.
That's right. That's exactly right. And that's why I don't trust big tech platforms with my content. My content is all uploaded to library/Odyssey, because no one can touch my content from there. I'm the only person that has the cryptography keys to touch those areas of the blockchain that I've uploaded this content to. So this is done through cryptography keys, and nobody can censor you. There is no ability of them to censor you unless they had your private crypto keys. So that is why I use this platform, because it is uncensorable. And I say things that are perfectly truthful, perfectly valid. I do not harm anyone. And yet there are people who want to stifle my freedom of speech to be able to say those things, because again, they have a vested power interest, and they're making a whole lot of money by what they're doing. They're deceiving people by what they're doing. They're holding on to their illegitimate form of power that they want to stay attached to by the control of information. And it's a big part of what I teach. It's a big part of what I'm a huge activist and advocate for, is freedom of speech. I would die for someone's freedom of speech. So this is why I think it's a very important aspect of what I do, is to make sure that the content can't be censored. And that goes for anybody, even if I don't agree with what someone else is saying, right? I don't need to agree with what someone else wants to put out into the world through their speech. As a matter of fact, that's what makes it freedom of speech, is that you don't have to agree with what the other person says. I want people who I don't agree with and who don't agree with me to be able to speak their mind freely. That's what that right is all about. So library allows that. And some other platforms do as well, where they are committed to freedom of speech and will not censor, regardless of however anyone sees the controversial nature of the topic that is being discussed. So I use library, and Odyssey is the portal. So I will upload through this program right here called Library Desktop. Okay. And I'll show you the front end of that, which is a web-based portal called Odyssey. So I'll go switch back over to Firefox. Let me bring it up out of my dock. Okay. And I think I hit the wrong one. All right, Firefox. There we go. Okay, so let me switch back over to Odyssey here. So this is the front end of library. So library is the protocol and the underlying blockchain technology that has an uploader interface called library desktop. And Odyssey is the portal, the web. They've made a nice web-based portal with a nice dark interface here, right? And all of my content shows up here, and you could play it like YouTube. Okay, that's basically how it works. Okay, then I can even embed. So sorry, I didn't mean to hit edit. I meant to hit share. So you could even embed here. They give you an embed link to embed via an iframe in any site that you want. We have a custom plugin where I'll just copy this code here and I could embed like that. This is also how I embed Twitch similarly to this on, for example, my show page. Twitch will give you an embed code for your stream. Okay. And let me just mute it. I'll let it play, but muted. And, I can embed in, for example, let's say, my One Great Work Network blog page right here. Here's all of the articles I've chosen to embed in One Great Work Network. And that's how the embed comes out in the page on the back end. Sorry, let me just lower this. Let me just get it out of the way of my Zoom menu. On the back end, we have a plugin that embeds like this. So basically, all you have to do is hit embed video, and our plugin that was an open source plugin that one of my developers modified. Basically, you could find any of the embed codes just by looking through this little document that he made. And once you have the embed code, like for example, for Odyssey, let's find it. Live leak BitChute Odyssey right here, right? He tells you what you need to copy, right? And then you just copy that embed code and you just put it in right there. So I'll just show you how that works. I'll copy that one. If I wanted to embed a second video, I could just hit that, choose Odyssey here. These are all the streaming platforms we allow embeds from on One Great Work Network for any of the content creators. You could even specify an MP4 from anywhere online, any URL, as long as it's on a server in MP4 format. But if you picked Odyssey, all I would have to do is paste that and hit embed. And there it is. Obviously on the back end, it doesn't show up as a video, but on the front end, it does. So I'll close that. One of the other technologies I really want to get to, okay, so I basically showed people some of the web technologies that I use, the content management systems, the streaming technology, the video hosting technology. Let me show you how I basically take in resources, because that's very important. But I also want to, before we wrap up, I want to show you a very important part of my workflow when it comes to video, which is relatively new. It's been out for a few years. A lot of people don't know about it, but I would like to introduce it to the class as well. But if we go over here to donate, you'll notice that I don't take traditional forms of donation. I've also been banned from monetary platforms with no explanation and no chance to even rectify their claim of conflict. Okay, I've been banned from PayPal just because of what I talk about as someone who doesn't agree with authoritarian systems of control of people. On one day, with absolutely zero explanation of why they want to ban me, with no recourse. So that was a big part of how I took resources in through donations, and now I can't even do it through there. I had to go to alternative online donation and payment systems. So we have an Amazon wish list where we ask for donation. If people don't want to give monetary resources, they could actually buy equipment for us that we require to run the whole network and the What on Earth is Happening and One Great Work network operations. I accept through Cash App, GPay. I have all the appropriate QR codes there. Wise is an international payment system that I accept donations through. And then, of course, I take cryptocurrencies. I take 5 right now. They're listed there. You could do it old school via check or money order. It's important to fund your operations, ladies and gentlemen. Like, if you can't operate, you can't do anything and get the word out or create what you want to create. Networking and resource collection is very, very important. And people who have told me a bit that my work has directly influenced their lives for the better, and they have learned invaluable information that has helped guide their life in far better ways than the ways that they were going from learning through What on Earth is Happening, One Great Work Network, have been so generous. I mean, it's amazing. If you are doing the right thing and you simply ask for assistance, people will absolutely come forward to help you out. They'll see the value in what you do, and they will contribute to the effort. And that has kept my efforts afloat over the years. So I just wanted to mention that as well. Let's go over to the other 2 things that I wanted to show you, where I teach a new media seminar called How to Become the True Media. This is part of my more recent work in the last few years, when I was basically analyzing what factors are missing. Why aren't more people doing things that I'm doing? Why aren't they learning about these technologies and using them to tell their stories and using them to put the word out to make the world a better place? I realized it was because they had very limited technical skill sets, and they didn't understand the internet. They didn't understand how the internet works. They had no skills in that regard to build a website with a content management system. They didn't know how to do video editing. They didn't know how to make presentations. And in addition to that, they had trepidation and fear about public speaking in addition. So what my media seminar does is it teaches them all these skill sets. I'm going to be opening up enrollment in April, and we start in July. But basically, it's a 23-week class, 3 hours a week plus discussion after the formal class. And these are the skills that I teach: operating system skills, file systems, disk formatting, file and folder management, workflow, best practices, word processing, internet basics. I teach about the dark web as well, how to get content that is censored, graphic design, print publishing, presentations, audio, video, web, and other ancillary things. So, just wanted to mention this is a new aspect of what I do as a teacher of new media. And I host this seminar 6 months of the year, and I do my live broadcast the other 6 months. And then when I have spare time, I'll even do live presentations and conferences occasionally. One of the last things I want to show you, and then I'll open up the floor to any questions you guys have, is NDI. I think this is the most powerful new media video technology to come down the pike, probably in the last 2 decades, certainly in the last several years. Most people don't know about it. They don't know what it is, and I find that sad because this has radically transformed my workflow. I want to open up my broadcast tool that I use. I don't personally, for myself and my own show, go with OBS, which is what most people stream with. I use something called Mimo Live, which I think is a very powerful tool, even more powerful than OBS. Sort of like, what would it be? XSplit, or there's another one, vMix. It's like vMix on Windows. But I want to share my screen for Mimo. I'm going to open my show document real quick and share the screen for that, so you can understand what something like NDI can do. Just give me a minute. I'm opening the document. It's opening the interface now, and I'm going to share the screen there. Okay. So if you're not familiar with something like vMix or Mimo, these are powerful broadcast tools that can enable you to create a television studio basically in your house, or do a very impressive live stream where you have multiple layers, multiple sources. I can connect an NDI source in here in this box, which is generally what I do when I have a laptop set up. And I will connect NDI through that. As a matter of fact, just give me a moment. I'll just briefly show that to you. I think it's worth me just grabbing my laptop real quick and showing that to you. Hold on.
I really appreciate you, Mark. For
All right,
everything
so
you did.
I'm going to grab my MacBook Pro here, and I'm just going to open up a presentation in my MacBook Pro. And I have NDI set up on both of these machines, which is basically a protocol for sending full frame video and audio over LAN, over the local area network through Ethernet. This would have required powerful switching computers in the past. You'd have had to buy a whole nother computer with a capture card, like a Blackmagic capture card, hook up BNC cables and whatnot, maybe run those through walls. That whole paradigm is over. Okay, if you understand NDI, this is a mind-blowing world game changer in video. So this is IP-based video, LAN-based video over Ethernet. And what I'm going to do on my laptop is just open up a presentation that I made. Okay, this is my last podcast, so I'm opening up the slides for it. Okay, and I'm going to broadcast over NDI. So I'm going to open up a full screen capture utility called vMix Capture for NDI, vMix Desktop Capture for NDI. And now I'm going to play my slides, and I'm going to switch over to, in my layer stack here, the setup where the laptop would be in my window. So you see here, I have like a 3D thing, a 3D medallion that was made with Maya by a 3D artist that works with me. And this was my, this is the screen that I start my broadcast with, but then I'll switch over to my laptop like this. And just give me one moment. It is not picking it up. Wi-Fi was off. That helps. All right, let me turn that on now. We should get connected in a second here. Let's see if that works. Not yet. Give me a second. I'm going to relaunch the desktop capture NDI software. Now it should establish a connection. There we go. Let me start my presentation on this laptop. Now you'll see that I can, from a separate computer in front of me, send a presentation, the full screen of the presentation, to this streaming software called Mimo Live in a layer. Okay, and this is basically how I do my show each week, where I present slides, and it basically takes them over the network. Okay, if I wanted to play a video in here, I could send the video from an NDI source out to this broadcast software. And that's how we run the network as well. That's how we basically run the television station part of the network. So this is Mimo Live. If I hit NDI here, right, this is an output destination for NDI. So now I'm actually broadcasting NDI on my LAN. My producer can pick that up and put that out on One Great Work Network through my video server. So it allows for sending the video, the whole desktop, a specific video in a window, however you want to do it, through any video source, basically through the network over Ethernet. And I have a 10 gigabit Ethernet network here. I have a Fios connection. I think a good internet connection, a solid fiber to the home connection is very important, especially if you want to do anything like this from your home. Even if you're running a business, I would say fiber optics is really the way to go. That's what I would consider a modern internet connection. I have a gigabit synchronous Fios connection here, fiber optic connection to the internet. And I consider that very important as well for a good workflow. Set up a good router, have good, legitimate brand switches, so, I have 10 gigabit TP-Link switches and Netgear switches. And, I have a good 10 gig router and a 1 gigabit internet connection. So this is Mimo Live that lets me set up all my sources and my layers here for my broadcast. And then I could even switch over. I could switch to, if I want the laptop in full screen mode, I can do that. Okay. And you could see it full screen. I could switch to myself full screen like that in my broadcast software. It lets you set up different scenes, in other words. And these are all the streaming destinations. I could record out of it. I could stream via NDI on my LAN. I could go out to different platforms like Twitch, Telegram, Odyssey, Float, Restream, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, more. Okay. And then you also have a audio mix that you could hear in headphones to make sure everything's sounding right. But this is like OBS really beefed up on, a much more complicated, not even complicated, but just a much nicer and more capable UI than something like standard OBS. So this is why I use it. I'm going to quit out of that and stop sharing. And then I'd like to just show you my video server for One Great Work Network. Sorry, I hit the wrong button there. Okay. All right. Let me share my remote software. So I'm remoting into, I can't show it to you on One Great Work Network, unfortunately, because there is someone, I believe, going live either now or very shortly. So let me actually, I can do that. Let me just check real quick if they're live now. That's just the best way of doing it is, let me look at it. I'm looking at the schedule and today is Wednesday. Oh, no one is live until 6:30 today. So I can log into One Great Work Network. So I'm going to drop the connection here and I'm going to go into, let me share that again. I'm going to share my remote software. Okay. And let's connect to One Great Work Network via RDP. It dropped the connection again because it's considering that a different window. So let me share it again. Zoom is very fickle with this.
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
Zoom and I have a love-hate relationship.
Resume sharing. No, I'll stop the share. Okay. Start sharing. Remotex. Where is it? There we go. Share. Now you can see the server. Okay, so this is the One Great Work Network video server that is set up here in my office in the other room. And basically, we connect two pieces of open source software together. If I were to pay the bandwidth costs of actually hosting a video network, it would be probably in the area of minimum tens of thousands of dollars per year. Maximum, when you factor in bandwidth, it would probably run into the hundreds of thousands of dollars per year. I certainly don't have that kind of money. I'm not poor by any stretch, but I am, I don't have that kind of money to throw down yearly. So we needed to visualize a solution where we could broadcast a 24-hour-a-day network on the cheap with largely open source tools and technologies. The solution that I came up with after researching it by myself and with a couple of other people's assistance is we could hook together a standard setup of VLC that we would use for playout automation and OBS, which we would use for streaming. So here you see on the left, I'm using standard VLC player with a video playlist, and the playlist is playing out over NDI. So NDI is a set of tools that you install, and it basically allows video to be played over the LAN. Okay, it basically broadcasts it on a LAN protocol. Okay, so if I hit video here, my output device is NDI video output, and as well as audio output is the output module is NDI audio output. So what that is doing is that's not playing it in a window here on the local server. It is playing it via NDI or broadcasting it on the network. Okay, so then we pick that up here in OBS. This has a output plugin, VLC, and OBS has an ingest plugin for NDI. And then over here is where the actual playlist gets played into this window through. So if I double click this, you'll see that the source is One Great Work Network VLC. That's what's coming out of here. I called the stream One Great Work Network. It's coming out of the VLC program. So that will play this video on loop of thousands of videos from all of our content creators, okay, 24/7. Now, what we do is we then break in on top of live streams. We can pause a live stream, okay, with the pause button, right? And then we could go to a live stream, okay? You see here, my live stream, I guess, was up there last, but I could basically bring in through a new instance of VLC. And essentially all this is this is play out automation. This is television studio production on the cheap without very, very, very expensive workflows and very, very expensive software like customized proprietary play out automation software. So I'm just going to hit open a network stream, and I could put in my address for Twitch, right? So https://twitch.tv/whatonearth93 and hit play. This will parse the Twitch stream, allow me to pick a resolution. I'll play it in 1080, make sure it starts. And now you see that I'm live on deck, right? So here is what's playing live on One Great Work Network. Here is what is on deck. Okay, I'll make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so you can see this is what would be live if I hit this transition button. And that's how we have our live stream set up. So any number of live streaming shows can be put live on top of the pre-recorded playlist. If we have them back to back, that's why we have a second one set up. And this is the last person, Kat Waters was the last person broadcasting on channel number 2, okay, live stream channel 2. So we have a pre-record channel, we have a live 1 channel, and a live 2 channel that can be switched back and forth by our producers who remote into this server. This one is set up on Windows. I'm generally a Mac guy. Linux would probably be my second choice. However, NDI, its full feature set, its full feature parity is only available on Windows right now. It has a lot of the features on the Mac, but not all of them. So because the fullest feature set for NDI is available on Windows only right now, I built a Windows server. I just did, it's all custom. My servers are all custom built. I build them from the motherboard up, processor, video card, etc., power supply. I don't buy computers like that already pre-built. I will obviously use Macs. That's what I'm talking to you on today. But that's my preferred platform for content creation is the Mac. For server software like this, right now I'm on Windows. If Mac catches up in feature parity through NDI, I might switch over to Mac as a server. But this is our workflow for the network, and we can bring in live streaming shows this way, and it works very well. All open source. Every one of these things is free open source software. VLC is free and open source. Streamlabs OBS is free and open source, as well as the NDI plugins for them are also free software. I don't believe the NDI plugin for VLC is open source, however, but it is free. It's gratis free.
Mark, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate. My God, it is no wonder that you are up all day and all night. Your brain is running at a terawatt of speed. I can't even imagine. I don't think there's any time right now for actual questions. The students traditionally want to get out of here for 4:15. I will allow for anybody that wants to ask a question, that feels like they want to ask a question. If Mark will spend an extra couple of minutes with you, that's fine. But for the rest of you, I do understand that at 4:15 you want to be dismissed. So let's take a minute before I do an official dismissal. Take a minute to thank Mark. Give him a round of applause, please.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
And if you give me just 1 minute, Mark, let me just ask, does anybody, okay, so you're all authorized if you like to in a minute, you of course can leave. Okay. Anybody have any questions for Mark you want to wrap up with before he signs off? Because I know that, that's officially over. So anybody have any questions for Mark?
everybody's going to start their own TV network tonight, right?
They're all coming over to your house and they're gonna say, Mark, help us figure this out. Boy, let me tell you something, Mark. Yeah, I've had a couple conversations with you over coffee and over dinner and in these seminars and never in my life have I had the opportunity to hear you orate like you did today. You're a very high level thinker, very highly educated and much appreciated.
Craig, I'd love to invite you by my place one day and we can maybe go out for coffee or a beer or something. And I'd like to show you my setup and my workflow here, how everything is put together. If you're willing to do that at any time, I'd love to host you.
Yeah. Well, I'm coming over. We'll figure that out. But we'll play some text message and we'll figure that out. Mark, I'm thankful, so very thankful for your time. I can't, if it was a 3-hour class, it would have been great, but because it's an hour and 15 every other day, it is what it is. So I want to thank
Understood.
bottom of my heart, our students here at York College of Pennsylvania. Thank you. I think this was much more than I expected, and you over delivered, right? So I thank you. You're a great friend. I'm going to dismiss the class. Thank you, everybody. And for you, Mark, we'll sign off in a moment.
Okay.
I think you have to make me host again, Mark, so I can.
You got it.
Thanks
All
very
right.
much.
You should have host, Craig.
All right, let me see. Let me see where I'm at here. Here you go. All right. I'm gonna stop the recording. Thanks very much, guys. Thank you. I'm gonna stop the recording in a minute, and here you go. I'll stop the recording.